The flight attendant glanced down the narrow aisle, her practiced smile greeting each boarding passenger. Seat 12 was already occupied by a man who didn't seem to fit into the crowd of vacationers and business travelers. He was quiet, shoulders broad but slightly hunched, a faded ball cap pulled low. In his lap rested a weathered leather backpack, scuffed from years of use. To anyone else, he looked like a tired, middle-aged single dad catching a late flight. His son, about 9 years old, sat by the window, face pressed against the glass, eyes shining with the wonder only a child feels at seeing massive engines and bustling ground crew. The man barely spoke, except to remind his son gently to buckle up. His voice carried that low rasp of someone who had spoken commands into headsets for far too many years, but no one around him knew that. To the passengers beside him, he was simply another father making sure his boy got to their destination safe. What nobody could guess, what not even the captain of the aircraft knew, was that the man in 12F carried a call sign that once made entire squadrons snap to attention. As the plane taxied down the runway, the boy tugged on his father's sleeve. "Dad, do you think we'll see any fighter jets when we land? Like the ones you told me about?" The man's lips curved faintly, the kind of smile that carried both pride and sadness. "Maybe, kiddo. You never know." He didn't explain why his chest tightened at the thought. He didn't talk about the nights alone, raising his son after his wife passed from an illness that showed no mercy. He didn't speak of the career he had walked away from, because his boy needed a father more than the Air Force needed another pilot in the skies. To his son, he was just Dad. That was all that mattered. The flight was smooth until the captain's voice broke over the intercom, a subtle tremor in his tone. "Ladies and gentlemen, just to inform you, as we approach our destination, you may notice we have some company in the sky. We've been advised of a formation of F-22 Raptors training nearby. You might catch a glimpse from the right side of the aircraft." Excited chatter filled the cabin. Passengers craned their necks toward the windows. The boy in 12F nearly climbed out of his seat to see. His father gently steadied him, his own gaze narrowing at the distant glint of silver wings cutting across the clouds. It was then that the lead flight attendant walked back with a puzzled look. She approached 12F. "Sir, the captain would like to speak with you. Could you come forward?" Confusion rippled across the row. The man hesitated, glanced at his son. "I'll be right back, buddy." When he reached the cockpit door, the captain himself stepped out, eyes wide, almost disbelieving. "Are you call sign Falcon?" The cabin fell into silence. Passengers who overheard turned their heads. The man in 12F straightened, a shadow of his old posture slipping back into place. "Used to be," he replied quietly. The captain swallowed hard. "Sir, those F-22 pilots requested a message relayed. They recognized your name on the manifest." Before the man could respond, a sudden flash of motion outside the window caught everyone's attention. 2 Raptors swooped alongside the commercial airliner, wings gleaming in the sun, holding formation with precision. The passengers gasped, phones lifted, children pointed. But this wasn't just a random flyby. The lead fighter tilted its wings in a crisp salute, unmistakable to anyone who had ever worn the uniform. The man in 12F closed his eyes briefly, the memories of call signs shouted through radios, of split-second decisions, of comrades who never came home, all flooding back. The captain lowered his voice. "They said to tell you welcome home, Falcon. And thank you." His son, pressed against the window, turned in amazement. "Dad! They're saluting you!" "Why are they doing that?" The man's throat tightened. He reached out, resting a steady hand on his son's shoulder. "Because, kiddo, sometimes people remember what you've done, even when you think the world has forgotten." The boy's eyes shone with pride, looking at his father as if seeing him for the first time. Not just as dad, the man who made sandwiches and helped with homework, but as someone who had once flown with the very best, who had earned the respect of warriors in the sky. As the plane descended, the Raptors peeled away, vanishing into the horizon. But the moment lingered in the cabin. Strangers reached out, shaking his hand. One passenger whispered a soft, "Thank you for your service." Even the flight attendants stood taller, their eyes misting. The man in 12F didn't seek recognition. He had traded the roar of jet engines for bedtime stories and scraped knees. But in that instant, his son knew, beyond any doubt, that his father was a hero. Not just for what he had done in the air, but for the sacrifices he made every single day on the ground. When they finally touched down, the boy clutched his father's hand tighter. "Dad, I'm gonna tell everyone. My dad is Falcon." The man chuckled softly, his heart both heavy and full. "Maybe one day, son. But for now, just call me Dad. That's the title I'm proudest of." And so, Seat 12F became more than just another spot on a flight. It became a reminder that sometimes the greatest acts of heroism aren't seen by the world. But when they are, they leave a mark on every soul who witnesses them. If this story touched your heart, remember, there are heroes all around us, quietly carrying their sacrifices in silence. Sometimes, kindness is as simple as recognizing them, as saying we remember. And if you want to hear more stories of kindness, courage, and humanity, don't forget to subscribe.